If hard work was the answer, most families would already be wealthy. Think about it. Your parents worked hard. Their parents worked even harder. And yet, generation after generation, the struggle with money continues. The stress, the debt, the paycheck-to-paycheck life, it just doesn't seem to end. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not because people are lazy. And it's definitely not because they're stupid. It's because they've been playing a financial game with the wrong rulebook. The truth is there's a quiet divide. On one side are the families who stay stuck in survival mode, decade after decade. On the other, a small group who build wealth that lasts for generations. What's the difference? It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's a different way of thinking about money, time, and opportunity. In this video, I'm going to show you the key reasons most families stay broke and why the smart few quietly build financial empires while no one's paying attention. It's not always what you think. And once you see the difference, you can start shifting your family from surviving to building something that lasts. Reason 1. Focusing on income instead of assets. Most families are obsessed with income. How much do you make? Did you get a raise? Is the new job paying more? We celebrate higher salaries like they're the finish line. But here's the trap. Income is not wealth. It's just money passing through. You can make 6 figures a year and still be broke. You can work 80 hours a week and have nothing left at the end of the month. Because wealth isn't what comes in. It's what stays. And more importantly, what grows. The families who build empires, they don't ask, how much did I earn this month? They ask, what did I build this month? A rental property, a dividend-paying stock, a side business, even a skill that compounds in value. Income feeds you today. Assets feed your bloodline. And yet, most people never make that shift. They chase the next job, the next paycheck, the next bonus, while the smart few quietly buy back their time by owning things that earn, even when they sleep. So the question isn't, how much are you making? It's, what are you keeping? And what are you growing? Because a higher paycheck won't save you if you never learn to own something that outlives your labor. Reason 2. Short-term thinking, short-term living. Most families don't have a financial plan. They have a calendar with bills due every 30 days. Everything is urgent. The rent is due. The credit card payment hits. There's another birthday party, another car repair, another expense that wasn't in the plan because there was no plan. And when you live your life in 30-day cycles, long-term thinking feels like a luxury. Retirement, legacy, generational wealth, that all sounds nice. But first, let's survive the week. The problem is this mindset becomes generational. Parents don't think ahead, so kids grow up never learning how. Everyone becomes reactive instead of intentional. And entire families end up repeating the same short-term decisions that keep them stuck in the same long-term struggle. Now compare that to families who think decades ahead. Families that ask, will this decision still matter in 20 years? Will this help my grandchildren, not just my next vacation? Jewish families have practiced this for centuries. They don't just invest in today's comfort. They invest in tomorrow's structure. They buy homes thinking in 50-year terms. They fund education for kids who haven't been born yet. It sounds extreme until you realize it's the reason they stay wealthy while others stay worried. The truth is, you can't build a legacy if your vision only stretches to your next paycheck. So, if you want your family's story to change, start stretching your thinking beyond survival. Because the longer you think, the stronger you build. Reason 3. Stuck with debt for depreciating liabilities. Debt is one of the fastest ways to kill a family's financial future, especially when it's used the wrong way. Most families don't just have debt. They live in it. Credit cards maxed out, car payments that eat half the paycheck, buy now, pay later on things that won't last a year. It starts small, a new phone, a designer bag, a vacation on a payment plan. But it builds fast. And before you know it, Your income isn't yours anymore. It belongs to lenders, to banks, to stuff you already forgot you bought. And here's the kicker, most of that debt is spent on things that lose value instantly. That car depreciates the moment you drive it. That television, worth half in 6 months. That outfit, stylish today, irrelevant tomorrow. That's consumption debt. And it quietly robs families of wealth, decade after decade. But wealthy families, especially those who think long-term, treat debt differently. They use it to build, not to consume. They borrow to acquire real estate that pays rent. They leverage capital to grow businesses. They fund education that offers a return, not just a degree. This is called productive debt. And the difference isn't just financial, it's philosophical. Poor families fear debt or use it to impress strangers. Wealthy families respect debt and use it to grow freedom. So here's the question you should ask before every loan, every swipe, every monthly payment. Is this debt building my future? Or borrowing it from me? Because the moment you stop using debt to fund your image and start using it to fund your assets, that's the moment your family's financial story starts to change. Reason 4. Working hard without building a system. Most families are taught to work hard but never taught to build systems. So they grind. They hustle. They pour every ounce of energy into a single job, a single paycheck, a single source of income. And for a while, it works. Until it doesn't. Because here's the truth, no one tells you, if your entire financial life depends on you showing up every day, you don't own a life. You own a treadmill. The families who build lasting wealth understand something different. You don't get rich from effort. You get rich from leverage. Leverage means building systems that earn money, even when you don't place. A rental property that pays you while you sleep. An online business that runs 24/7. Investments that grow without asking for your time. And no, you don't need millions to start. You just need to shift your mindset from being the worker to becoming the architect. Too many families stay broke not because they don't work hard, but because they never stop working hard long enough to build something that works without them. The truth is, your job can be the seed. But without planting it into a system, it'll never grow into a tree. So ask yourself, if you couldn't work for the next 60 days, what would keep paying you? If the answer is nothing, then it's time to stop only working in your life and start working on your life. That's what the builders do. And that's why they create wealth that lasts long after their labor ends. Reason 5. Hiding money instead of teaching about it. In many families, money is the last thing anyone talks about until there's a problem. We whisper about bills. We avoid conversations about debt. We dodge questions from our kids with lines like, "Don't worry about that," or "That's adult stuff." And just like that, another generation grows up with no real understanding of how money works, only fear, confusion, and silence. But here's the truth. What you don't talk about, you can't master. And what you don't teach doesn't get passed on. Meanwhile, in many wealthy families, especially Jewish families, money isn't a secret. It's a subject. It's part of daily life. It's something kids learn not through lectures, but through participation. They watch their parents budget, invest, give. They hear conversations about values, trade-offs, long-term planning. They're not just given money, they're given context. Because wealth without wisdom, it disappears. But wisdom with even a little money, that becomes a foundation. So the real danger isn't talking about money. It's not talking about it. It's letting your kids grow up in the same confusion you had. It's pretending silence is protection, when in fact, it's a setup for struggle. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing to talk, to share what you know, to say, "Here's what I'm learning. Let's learn it together." Because the moment money becomes part of the conversation, it stops being a source of shame and starts becoming a tool for freedom. The final truth. The rich aren't smarter. They just think differently. Here's what most people get wrong about the wealthy. They think the rich are just smarter, more talented, more connected. Maybe they just got lucky. But the truth? In most cases, they're not better. They just think differently. They don't see money as something to spend. They see it as something to multiply. They don't chase status. They build systems. They don't live for this weekend. They live for the next 50 years. They don't treat wealth like a finish line. They treat it like a responsibility. And that mindset, that quiet shift in how they view money, time, and choices is what changes everything. Because the families who stay broke, they're not stupid. They're just stuck in patterns. But the families who break free, they challenge the pattern. They ask better questions. They act with long-term purpose. And over time, they build something that outlives them. So no, wealth doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to those who think for the long game. And the best part? That way of thinking is available to anyone who chooses it. So now you see it. The reason most families stay broke, and the quiet truths that separate them from those who build empires. It's not because the others work harder. It's because they think longer, they act smarter, and they choose habits that compound not just income, but opportunity. The good news? You don't have to be born into that world to build it. You just have to decide, am I going to repeat what I was given? Or rewrite what I'll pass on? You can start small. A conversation with your kids. A budget that finally includes investing. A side hustle that leads to ownership. A new way of looking at debt. Or simply asking, before every decision, will this help me survive, or will it help me build? Because that question asked enough times will change your life. And it might just change your family's future too. If this message hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below. Which mindset shift are you starting this week? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're not here to play small with money. We're here to think big for ourselves, our kids, and everyone who comes after. And finally, share this with someone you care about. Because sometimes, a single idea is the spark that rewrites a legacy.